Hello and welcome back to another episode of NOTaVXR. So today's episode is I'd probably class it as the most fun thing you can do to your car because you know you can't really mess it up. So today is a service, so your standard oil and oil filter change. So it's pretty essential to owning a car really, whether you get it done at a mechanic's or if you do it yourself, which is a lot cheaper. So let's get to it.
So first thing you're going to need to do is jack up the car. Make sure it's nice and secure by chocking your wheels and making sure that it's secure on the jack stands. Whenever I change my oil, I always let the car run for about 10-15 minutes to loosen up any grime that might be sediment in the sump pan. As you can see, there's a minor sneak preview of a future video, but we need to remove our oil cap so we can drain the oil easier from the plug. Next, you want to get under the car and get a container that you don't mind filling with oil and then crack the sump plug. As you can see, I obviously did mine up way too tight last time because I'm really struggling to get it undone. When undoing it, make sure you don't get your hands near it if you have run the car because obviously the oil could be quite warm at this point. So whilst that's draining, we can move on to the oil filter at the top of the engine bay. Luckily, Vauxhall actually use their brain and put a nut shape on the top so we can undo it just with a normal wrench. It can be quite tricky to get to though, but if you get the right angle, it's actually really easy. I would have some tissue on hand to try and catch the oil coming out of the filter housing because obviously you don't want that dripping all over your engine bay. Unfortunately, like you're going to see in the clip in a second, it's quite tight trying to get it out, so I actually ended up spilling some on my coolant hoses. Now that we've found our sump plug and when it's all drained out, it's time to replace the sump plug. I personally have always just nipped it up because I've never actually owned a torque wrench, but now that I do, I thought best to actually use one. The torque spec for my car was actually embossed on the drain pan, but it was about 12 Newton meters. Now it's time to change the oil filter. First you want to grab the cap and pull the filter out of the cap and pour away any excess oil. Next, you want to grab a screwdriver and remove the oil ring that fits around the top of the cap. When you order an oil filter, it will come with a replacement, which is why we need to remove the old one. Grab some of your new oil and apply it to the seal because this will stop it snapping when you put it over the oil filter cap. Don't worry about misplacing the ring, there is a groove slot around the cap so you can't miss it. With that installed, you just need to grab your new oil filter and pop it in the housing and you're good to go. Now we need to reinstall our oil filter. On the cap, it actually states to torque it down to 25 Newton meters. Now with the drain plug reinstalled and the oil filter housing, it's time to top it up with oil. It takes 4 litres for a Corsa 1.4. I chose to go for Shell Helix 5W30. With all 4 litres added to the car and the oil cap replaced, it's time to run the car and check for any leaks.
I'd love to say that I filled all these up without spillage, but not happened.
Once you've lowered your car and it's nice and flat again, check your oil with your dipstick.
And that concludes today's episode, guys. I'm really banking on the fact that when I sell the car, this is going to count as a full service history, I can't lie. So please like, subscribe and share if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next episode. Cheers, guys.